All right, welcome back to Chaos Collectibles. So today's video is going to be a little bit different than what we normally do. In fact, I've been posting so much because I've had the week off work and I got to get back to it here in a couple days. So in this video, we're going to do what I'm going to call a coffee talk. And depending on how it goes, we may do more in the future. So how did I get into collecting figures? Let's see here. I want to go back to probably around 2001. My brother ended up selling me a bunch of loose Spawn figures, McFarlane Spawn figures. And I got those, and I ended up going to the store and I saw some Bruce Lee Enter the Dragon figures. So I picked up a few of those as well. Started collecting the Spawn figures, and then he ended up selling me a He-Man and a Skeletor commemorative Masters of the Universe figures still in a pack. And then I discovered eBay. So it's in just a short span of a few months, maybe a year, I got on eBay and I started buying up a bunch of Masters of the Universe figures. And then I started to buy up the Remco figures. And then from there, it turned into, well, I want to start collecting some G.I. Joe figures. So I started to collect the original 3 3/4 G.I. Joe figures from there. And then I started collecting the muscle figures, little rubber guys. And then it moved on to wrestling figures from there. That's around the time where Jakks started to do their Ruthless Aggression figures. So I started to buy the Ruthless Aggression figures. And around that time is when I started the customization. Only did a few Remcos, maybe about 8 or 10 of them. And then from there, I just pretty much just stopped collecting. Held on to my stuff for a little bit. And started to sell my stuff off when I lost my job in 2008. So then I started to buy Marvel Legends figures. And I had about 60 or 80 of those. Held on to those for quite a while. And still had the G.I. Joe figures. And then didn't do any collecting until 2019, because I started to buy the Masters of the Universe Classics figures. In the meantime, sold off my entire collection to buy my home. And started to buy the Masters of the Universe Classics figures. Probably had about 20, 25 of those. And then I started looking around for Remco figures. Let's see. Remco Conan. And I happened to stumble across this remake. It was green. Ended up being Crisis Underworld Warrior. So I bought that bad boy on Amazon from Toy NK or something like that, one of the stores on there. And I started to research these figures. I'm like, what the heck? I've never seen this thing before, but this thing's pretty freaking awesome. So, ended up picking that bad boy up, did the research, and went on Facebook, somehow YouTube, all this stuff. I don't exactly remember exactly how it worked out, but stumbled across the Realm of the Underworld's fans Facebook page. And this is when everything was shutting down and all that stuff. I was off work for a few months and found an auction. I remember that very first auction I went to was the 50 Shades of Skullman auction. Ended up buying 3 figures. In fact, even though I sold off some of my Realm of the Underworld figures over the years, I still have that very first figure. Just because it was the first one I bought. So just one of those, nostalgic things or whatever you want to call it, right? I still have that bad boy. And yeah, just it kind of spawned from there. So in 2020 it was May of 2020, started to collect the Realm of the Underworld figures. Started to sell off my Masters of the Universe Classics. In fact, I got rid of all of them, sold them off on eBay to get the Realm of the Underworld figures. And I probably had about 30, 40, 50 figures. And then I had to get my son a car, so I started to sell that stuff off a little bit here and there. I mean, what you see down here in this dungeon down here, besides just a select few things like the Arnold Schwarzenegger figure and the Bruce Lee 1/6 scale, I really didn't own. I still got a couple G.I. Joes in a box in a closet on the other side of my wall here. Not too many, maybe a dozen if that. But yeah, I've accumulated all of this stuff within probably the last 4 years. Then I ended up finding a Conan the Barbarian premium format statue. Bought that back in February of 21. And then I saw a Punisher statue that I bought a couple months later. And then from there it was statue time, like a madman. I bought 20 statues in a matter of 6 months. And then of course, after a little bit of time, I started to buy the LJN figures. And then it always comes in spurts, you know. I get burnt out on stuff and I come back around, and then I always go back to the realm of the underworld. Started buying those up like crazy here within the last 2 years since I started doing the videos a year and a half ago. In fact, when I did my first video, Matt Watson had a YouTube channel, and that was a big influence on me doing this one. And I just wanted to show him my figures, you know, show him my small tiny collection that I have of LJN. If you guys haven't checked his channel out, check him out. Matt Watson, the dude's got the craziest wrestling figure collection I've ever seen. But yeah, I just did my first video just so he could see my collection, and it just kind of, you know, went from there. Although we're still in the infancy stages, I enjoy doing these YouTube videos. Sometimes I have to take breaks just because of work. And a lot of times I think I just need to do a video to show some stuff off, but you know, it's a lot more than that when it comes to the community, of course. But yeah, I mean, it's really expanded as far as my collection's gone, you know. So most of what you see in here when I showed off the room tour has all been things that I've picked up in the last 4 years. So yeah, I mean, when I say I go a little crazy sometimes, I get a little crazy sometimes. It's out of control. It's an addiction. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to hear some of your stories about, you know, how long you've been collecting, or what sparked your interest in collecting, and what's your favorite toy line, or what's your, you know, what are you looking forward to most when it comes to, you know, some things that are coming up, because there's a lot of cool figures coming out. You know, I didn't mention this in the last video, but Zola World's teaming up with, I forget the name of the company, but they're doing 3.75, you know, Star Wars G.I. Joe size Night of the Living Dead figures, you know, so that's pretty exciting. You know, we have the Realm of the Underworld horse and rider sets coming. Pirates of the Galaxies, Lord of Darkness. There's Legends of Dragonor 1.5 just shipped. They're doing Series 2. They have the dragons. One of the dragons is on pre-order too, I believe, at Big Bad Toy Store. You know, we have Super 7 just released their King Conan. Mezco just did another Conan. You know, there's so much, you know. And then when you get into the wrestling figures, there's the big rubber guys. You know, they're releasing, you know, series after series after series of these things, you know. So those things look pretty cool. You know, I think a lot of them look a lot better than the LJNs did. But yeah, I just wanted to get on here and just kind of chat with you guys for a minute. And yeah, how did you all get started in collecting? How long have you been, you know, doing this? But all right, thanks again for tuning in. I hope you all have an awesome day. Until next time. Woo!